What's up, everyone? This is David Greenspan, and you are listening to Season 2 of the Mindshare Podcast, a proud member of the Industry Syndicate Media Network. Additional podcasts are available at mindshare101.com and on all the major podcast platforms. This week's episode is sponsored by Kits Keep in Touch Systems. This is episode 82. Growing up in real estate and learning the business firsthand from his father, he learned the old-school fundamentals of salesmanship, from door-knocking and cold calls to scripts and dialogue. Combined with his passion for the latest tech and social media, he has created a blend of high-tech and high-touch that allows him to regularly sell $1 million plus homes in the East Bay area. He has over 18 years in the business and over 80,000 plus cold calls under his belt. He has spoken to packed rooms at real estate events across the U.S., and he has also been a featured guest on some of the industry's most popular shows, including right here on the Mindshare Podcast. It is my pleasure to introduce my boy from the West Coast in Cali, Greg McDaniel. My man, what is going on?
What up, man? That is a heck of an intro. I loved it. I got to correct one thing, though.
All right.
It's more like 450,000 cold calls.
Well, then, dude, you need to update that bio.
Mm-hmm. I do. And that was not your fault. That is something I need to do right away, but I am super excited. I've been looking forward to this. I got up. I went for a run this morning, ran 3.5, almost 4 miles, did a bunch of weights and stuff. And I'm just getting jacked just thinking about our conversation today and kind of what we're going to do and just kind of the legendary conversation that we're going to be able to have. And we're just going to drop hammer and just make things happen and hopefully influence some folks, and any value I can bring, I'm ecstatic to be here. So take me where you want to take me, good sir. I'm ready.
Yeah, man. And I can tell you for sure, I know the value you're going to bring. I mean, I know when we do your show, and I've been a guest on there a few times now, definitely jacked. And I don't know if you saw our boy, Dustin Brome had posted up as well. He had, with the Industry Syndicate as well, he had posted, he's like, oh man, Greg's a good dude. This is going to be a fun episode. So no, man, I'm pumped, but it's definitely wicked to have you here. And we're again, we're finally turning the tables over here to have, I've been on your show a couple times, so it's good to have you as a guest. But here's the cool thing, and you and I know this, and this is the interesting thing, and just to share this out with everybody listening, but, reading your bio, we have a similar background story in terms of, dad was in the biz. We grew up in the biz. We saw it was done back in the day. And I mean, like when I look back at back in the day, and I think about the guys that the first people that come to mind right now, and it's what were they doing back then? What were they doing to actually have success? And typically speaking, these guys were the hustlers. These guys were out there early in the morning. They were out there schmoozing. They were, these days it could be the gym. Back in the day, it was the coffee shop. Maybe sometimes for some people, it's the coffee shop, whatever. These guys were always schmoozing, always talking.
Always schmoozing, always talking. I remember one of my favorite photos of my father I saw. This is back in the day when cell phones did not exist. Computers did not exist. The MLS was literally delivered by taxi.
Black and white MLS tear sheets, right?
Yep. And you were not in the business until you have had 6 months of those sheets. And then you were officially in the business. And like when you wanted to show a house, you had to go to the other agent's office, pick up the key, go show the house, then bring the key back to the agent. I mean, it was a different world. And my father got in the business and he was flat broke. And he had just married my mother, and they'd gone to college together. That's where they met. And he's like, what am I going to do? And so he went out door knocking, and he door knocked in the snow. And he got featured in a local newspaper with two cell phones on his ear. One turned up when he wasn't talking to, and then he would reverse them and change it around like this. And he would. I remember, like when I was growing up, he would. Not that he wasn't around. He was working his tail feathers off. Yeah. And he would leave at like 6 a.m, get back at like 10, 11 at night, and that would happen 6-7 days a week. He would work and hustle so hard, his retina has detached from his eye twice and bleeding from the eyes because he was so stressed. We'd go on vacation to our family cabin in Carmel Valley, and that sounds really fancy and luxurious. Look, it's one step up from tent camping, okay? Cool. But he would spend all day on the top of the hill in his car, on his car phone, because that was a big thing then, the car phones. Yep. Negotiating deals. Yep, that was the one. all day long, negotiating deals, and he'd come down, get a snack, and go back up, and then we'll see him in the evening. But I mean, you want to talk
Pure
about
scenes
hustle?
out of Tommy Boy with David Spade, right?
Totally. And it's just like I look at the agents these days, and I'm not criticizing in any way, shape, or form. But I had a conversation with a couple of folks last week or so, and they were just basically saying, "Hey, I just want you to give me leads." And I'm like, "Can I cuss on this or can I not?"
We try to keep it kind of clean just based on
Cool.
iTunes, but yeah, I know your thing. Be you.
All right. Okay,
thing,
I'll respect the show. And I basically said, "What the blank is going on?" And this person was like, "Well, just give me leads, and I'll come and join your team." And I said, "Well, I don't think you're going to be the right fit." And it hurts my heart a little bit because people get so entitled to the point where they just like, I'm entitled to everything I want when I want it now. I'm like, well, that's not how this works. Like, right. I'm in this 20 years and I hustle hard. I grind hard. And you know what? I've been very successful because of it. And it's not because I was given anything. It's because I put on my big boy pants and I went out there and did the stuff that nobody wanted to do. When I first got in the business, for my first full year in this business, I literally did nothing but door knock 6 days a week. And my 7th day, I would do phone calls in the office on Sundays after people would get back from church and then write them thank you letters to all the people I spoke with. I got so good at door knocking, to the point I remember I was walking up a hill. It was slightly raining out, so it wasn't a perfect day. And I had worn holes in the bottom of my shoes and water flowed into the bottom of my shoes. And I called my father. I'm like, that's it. I'm flipping done. Like, this is BS. And he laughed at me. He's like, all right, come on, let's go. Let's get you in the office. Let's get you working with clients. And I just stormed off like a entitled little twat and, got going in the business. But I learned how to do it the hard way, not the easy way, the hard way.
It's funny you brought that up and you said with your father with the his retinas and everything. And I look at my dad and when you say he wasn't around, right? And if I go back in time and I think to myself, playing all the hockey and all the baseball that I played, mm-hmm. and continue to still do. But there was so many times where my dad was literally running from, a showing, driving me over to the field. And then, from there, I might even have to be in the backseat of the car while he went into the next showing after that. Right. We used to go to overnight camp. My parents would send us off for 3-4 weeks, me and my sister, 6 weeks sometimes out in the East Coast. And sometimes my father wasn't even able to come visit because he was so busy, running and gunning. And, I fast forward and I look at my dad now. And I mean, hell, man, he still works like an animal. He has made it for himself in terms of success. He's got, mm-hmm. He's done very well for himself. Yeah. But he's also got Bell's palsy. And he caused that because of the stress and how hard they work. And so, look, we are not going to be handed anything. Nobody's going to give us anything for no reason. It's all a matter of going out there and getting it. You want it, you got to go get it. Nobody's going to give it to you. It's not happening, right? No. And so part of that, though, is how do we go about doing that? And we look at the world that we're in now. And I mean, hey, when we look at the world back then and we look at where we're at today, and I'm talking in this industry, has it changed all that much? And I mean, that's a loaded question, right? But has it? Has the way we do business changed? Has the way we get business changed?
The way we communicate has changed, and when I say communicate, I mean working with. Hold on, I gotta close this.
There's something back there. I can hear it.
Sorry, I apologize. They're mowing and blowing out there. The way in the methods that we communicate has shifted. It's still a person-to-person business, belly to belly, eye to eye. And it's still a relationship-based, conversations, and you have to still build the trust, you have to get the honor to work with these folks. They're not just going to fall into your lap. And, we communicate on apps, Facebook. You and I are blessed beyond words to have a platform, on our podcast and the people that we interact with. And that gives us a bigger area where we can communicate with folks and bring value. But at the end of the day, we're still picking up the phone, making phone calls. Mm-hmm. We're still sending emails. We're still writing letters. We're still having conversations, but we have conversations in different manners. I mean, different vehicles. Like I talked to my team manager, Eileen, on an app called Voxer, consistently.
Yep.
I talk back and forth on text message and
for
video
anybody,
chat.
Sorry, Greg, I apologize. For anybody not familiar with Voxer, Voxer is literally like a walkie-talkie app.
Yeah.
I was for some time I had it installed. I was using it with my wife, and then that caused me to uninstall, but I digress. Anyways, it's a walkie-talkie app for anybody there. It is pretty cool for collaboration with your team. But sorry, honey, I love you if you're listening. She knows. She knows.
Oh
But
my
I
gosh.
apologize. You were saying.
Oh, I'm going to laugh about that forever and a day. And that's why I uninstalled it. But I mean, we're doing some really cool things on tech now that we've never been able to do. And a lot of the times I feel that there's so much available to people because we can, do LinkedIn communications. We can do, ads there. We can do posts there. We can do Instagram, IGTVs, Instagram posts, Instagram stories, Facebook stories, Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger, Voxer, you pick another variety pack of however you're going to communicate. So I think it's sometimes, and this is why it's so important when you speak with your colleagues and you speak with your clients, you don't tell them how you're going to speak to them. You ask them, how would you like to be spoken to? Because that gives them permission to be them and allows them to live in their space with power and strength. And so a lot of us just get lost in the technology side when and my father always says this. He says, Greg, the most powerful thing you can do, and this is before COVID, so don't jump down my throat, everybody. Go out, go into your Rolodex. There again shows kind of how long he's been in the business.
Sure. Yep.
Get into your Rolodex and go find 3 other people and go have a breakfast or a lunch or happy hour with them. And I asked him, well, why? And I know, a very dumb question, right? He's like, well, Greg, your job is to be a connector. Your job is to go out there and find David, Phil, Rebecca, and get everyone in a room, sit down, have a cup of coffee or a snack or something, and help them build their businesses and do masterminds and grow value through that, because everybody's their favorite star of their own story, right? You're the favorite star of your story. I'm the favorite star of my story. It's just how every human being wakes up, and that's how we're wired. So why don't we give people the power to be their star by introducing them into other people that will grow their business? When's the last time you have ever been asked, except for when you're on my show, David, how can I help you grow your business? Who can I connect you with? What's the thing I can do the most to bring value to you? People don't ask those questions because it's the me story consistently, and that narrative has to shift.
I was just marking that down. As you see my head down, I'm taking a little bit of notes. I left my pen upstairs, but I'm typing it on my phone here.
No problem, man.
No, it's good stuff though, man. And you and I know the conversation always goes there, but I love what you just said about that, right? Allow people to be who they are.
Yeah.
And then work within that, right?
Work within that. And I've learned this in my personal relationships, with my girlfriend. I've learned it with clients. And there's something I didn't know when I first got in it, because I thought I was hot stuff and I knew where everyone should buy their house. But the unique thing about human beings, if you literally listen to the words coming out of their mouth, they will tell you exactly what they want. And it's your job to take your own intention, your own ego out of that conversation and allow the conversation to flow in what's most meaningful to them. Like I used to tell people when I was working with them, this is back in my early 20s when I got in the business, they'd say, Greg, well, we want to buy in Danville, which is one of the cities we work in. And I would say, you know what, this is the best place. And they would say, well, no, I kind of want to live over there. I'm like, nah, you don't want to live over there.
Yeah.
You want to live over here. And it created friction because I wasn't hearing what they were saying, what was most important to them and their families and their lives. I was trying to impart my ego and my thoughts onto them when they didn't even freaking ask.
Right.
And that's the big problem. Our egos always get in the way because we feel we know more. Now we might. And if they ask our opinion on something, you give your honest opinion. But if you say, hey, David, where would you like to live in Danville? And you're like, Greg, I want to live in Blackhawk. And I say, Blackhawk's horrible. You don't want to live on Blackhawk. You want to live on the west side. You're like, I don't like the west side. I'm like, we'll change that idea. Like, come on over. I'll show it to you. I just created friction with you, and you'll be kind and courteous, and we'll probably work together. But at some level, you're just like, this guy just doesn't listen. And unfortunately, we all do it. And I catch myself doing it all the time. And I'm like, whoa. You've got to pump the brakes, McDaniel. There's no way you have the right to dictate on what someone's life path is going to be. Hear what they want, execute on that fact, deliver the product that they've asked for, move on, get referrals. End of story. Really not that hard.
And so is that any different from what it was? Or today, have we just got the opportunity to go, this person wants to connect on Voxer, that person on Instagram, this person through text message, this person through a phone call, this person doesn't want tech at all. They want to see me every single time.
Yeah. And that's again where you ask, David, how would you like me to communicate with you? And then your answer would be what?
I mean, me personally, I will
Mhm.
tell you there's a variety of different ways. I love the phone though, right?
Okay.
And when we say we love the phone, you and we've connected through Instagram DM, we've connected
Mhm.
through email, we've
Mhm.
done our podcast a bunch of times together. So
Mhm.
there's a whole bunch of different channels, and now it's a matter of like, some people it's going to be, it doesn't really matter. We can kind of hit it from any angle. Love text messaging these days. When I say love the phone, it's not that we all have all the time in the world to talk on the phone, and there really is only so much time to do a phone call in a day, and
Yep.
that's the beauty of tech that's given us the ability to, we're get out there and connect with people, find your 4 to 6 people, whatnot. Hell, you could connect with 20, 30, 100 people today by leveraging the tech and then picking that small handful of folks that you might actually pick up the phone and call.
Exactly. And again, so you said you love the phone. So my next question would be, well, would you like me to give you a call when I find something, or would you rather me text you? What would be your preferred
Flip me a
method?
quick text and then we'll meet up and we'll make a phone call if we have to talk more about it. Absolutely.
10 4. Now I know exactly how you communicate, and now you feel heard. And so now you're going to be like, okay, this dude's in Team David. And I'm like, yeah, I am. Let's do this. And so nothing's changed about the business. Our communication abilities have shifted. It's still like I have a client that I got a hold of, and I found her for 1.785 million, and I got her off of a cold text messaging program that we launched. I didn't think it was going to work. I can't believe it actually did work, but it did. And you know what? She loves text messaging. So you know what? I've never met this woman in my entire life. I don't know if I ever will. But you know what? She found value and trust because I spoke to her in the way she wanted to be spoken to. And it's so simplistic that sometimes people are just like, that doesn't work.
Right.
Okay, if you don't believe me, next time you have a conversation with a spouse, significant other, a new client, a past client, ask them that question. You know what, David? It was awesome seeing you today, brother. Hey, what's the best way to keep in touch with you so that we can keep rocking and rolling? And you say, dude, shoot me a text. I never miss my text.
Yeah.
Roger that. You got it.
Yeah.
And you're off and moving.
Love it. Smart, man. Very smart. So we look at basically, and when I kind of set up this this episode today, just based on combos you and I have had, and obviously reading through, the things that where you come from in this biz and then what you're up to today. And again, knowing some of that background now, to me, it was very simple of Realtor marketing channels that drive more business was kind of the idea around today, right? So when we look at that and go, so, the channels that we are able to use have increased from what they used to be.
Right.
The business we do, the way we go about the business really hasn't changed all that much, though, because it still comes down to connecting with people.
It does. It's all about the connection. It's all about bringing value. It's all about trust. It can be
so often, right?
It is, and it's almost like white noise because when people say, well, you just got to build trust. You're like, okay, well, how the hell do I do that?
Or you just got to deliver value, and everybody's like, okay, I got it. I've heard that a million times now. What the hell is value? How do I deliver it?
Value is what they're looking for. So when you're looking to provide value, I did this thing about 2 years ago, and I stopped doing it because it worked so well. Imagine that, right? It's so stupid.
That's a good problem to have, bro.
So stupid. I used to do this thing, and it emotionally was an emotional vampire for me because it sucks a lot of energy out of my mornings. But I would do a thing called Mornings with McDaniel.
Yeah.
And what I would do is I would get on and I would go to Pinterest and I would find a post on Pinterest that would have something inspirational, like 7 things you need to do to be successful, or 3 things you need to do, blah, blah, blah. And I would get on and I would just riff for 10, 15, 30 minutes or something like that. And it was like my own verbal diary, my video diary, right? About things that I'm battling in my life. Here's the crazy thing, dude.
Hold on. Hold that thought. Sorry, because I just stay tactical for everybody, because I love what you just said there. And because we talk about ILT, invest, learn, teach, right? Go out, find something, take it, understand it, and then teach it back to other people. So essentially what you did was you were going to Pinterest, you were learning a whole bunch about, or you were finding something that got your wheels spinning. You internalized it, and then literally got on a live or whatnot, and then just, again, riffed about it, like went on for about 10, 15 minutes to explain it, break it down. What does it mean to you? How do people apply it? Is that essentially what you were doing?
exactly, and how it
Cool.
affects my life. And I became very, very vulnerable and transparent when I was doing this. And this is not a joke, man. Like, I just did it for me and maybe help a couple of people.
Yep.
It got to the point where, like, my cousins, their husbands, like people I haven't seen in decades, were watching, and they would say, Greg, like, what you talked about, like, I needed to hear that today. What you said, like, I sat down and cried. uh,
Wow.
and I was just like,
But people coming to you with emotions and opening up to you and having the conversation, and that's where
exactly.
you've delivered value and you've
Yep.
built trust.
And I didn't talk about real estate once because I was talking about them. I was
Right.
bringing value to them,
Yeah.
not going, look at me, I'm an amazing real estate agent, I'm the best, look at all the money that I make, look at all the clients that I have. The conversation literally never came up. It was just like, hey guys, this is something that impacted me. I found these things on 6 things to do, blah, blah, blah. Let's break them down and go through them real quick. Throw your comments in the bottom, like and share this if you find value. Let's rock and roll. Like, my cousin's husband, he's an ER doctor, right? And she's an ER nurse. And he would always come up to me and give me a big hug and be, hey man, I didn't get a chance to watch your Mornings with McDaniel this morning, but I watched it at lunch, and man, that was
Cool,
good
man.
stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool.
And
You
that's
start to develop
value.
a following too of people that are almost expecting you to do that.
Right. And here's the thing. I wasn't looking for anything in return. I was just trying to give value to other people because I needed something. So I went out and found it. And then I just kind of, like I said, it's my own personal video diary of things that were affecting me. And that's what other people were looking for as well. But sometimes the people that you're around, the people you see daily, you don't know the battles that they're fighting. You don't know the demons that are in their lives.
Yep.
And just being the amazing human being you can be to the highest and best level. And look, you can have down days. You can have bad days. You can have days you're just like, to the birds with the world, I'm out of here, and go sleep on your couch and watch Netflix. That's fine, because your batteries need to be recharged. You have to find where you get value and power as well, so you can give it out. Why do you think on airplanes, they always say, put your own mask on first? It's not because you're a selfish SOB. It's because if you're dead, little Johnny over here is not going to make it. End of story.
You kill me, bro. But it's a good analogy. No, it's got a lot of logic. It makes a lot of sense. So let's go here then.
Sure.
In terms of biz, right? And we say, and kind of covering off, that there's been a lot of change in the way that we can communicate. There's been a lot of change in the technology, but the actual, fundamentals of the business haven't changed all that drastically from back in the day. Now, to some people, that's a completely irrelevant statement because they don't know from back in the day, right?
True.
But when we fast forward and we go, well, we're living in the quote unquote new school. I've got this argument that says, we're in the new school, we're online, but part of the idea between this business is to take that online and bridge the gap between the online and the offline. Part of the idea here is to have success. We now in this world need to mix the old with the new, because if you come into this business and your thought is, I'm going to run a whole bunch of Facebook ads, I'm going to do a whole bunch of, again, quote unquote, lead generation on my website, right? And you're just going to be online, you're missing the boat about, where business really comes from, of connecting and adding value to people and having one-to-one relationships. Much the same if you are from the old school and you think to yourself, I don't need to leverage the social medias, I'm not worried about my website. Well, you're probably going to miss a lot of the boats, on that end as well. So now it's a matter of bridging the gap between the two.
It is, and technology and everything that we're operating with right now is fantastic. It's amazing that we have so many abilities to be seen by so many people at a zero cost basis if you plan to do it that way or put a couple of dollars behind it. But I mean, think about this. Essentially, Facebook ads, posts on Instagram, IGT, everything else, those are like a first date. All right. You have to have the other person want to go on a second date with you. And that's where you build the trust and build the bridge. This is where you go offline and you say, hey, David, man, hey, I love connecting with you. I think I can help you and your wife in regards to into your real estate needs. When would be a good time for me to come on over? We can put a face with a name and see if you even like me and see if I'm the right agent for you. What would work best for you and your family? And then you get there. And this is where you get to just have fun. And people get so uptight about their listing of presentations and how they go about everything. Now, listing presentation, it shouldn't, okay, so here's the thing. It's not a listing presentation, it's a listening presentation.
I said that the other day. Mindshare
Yeah.
Masters, you guys all heard me say that, or I typed it in, but we talked about exactly that of what are you doing when you do a listing presentation. This is about listening. This is about open-ended questions and learning what it really is. Remember, I used the example around, I need a bigger house, and we dug deep, 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 and we found out because I want a kitchen table. Right?
There you go.
Listening. Love that. It's a listening presentation, not a listing presentation.
Right. And because, and I literally do this, and people think I'm absolutely crazy, but I will walk into your living room
I don't
and
think
I
you're
will,
crazy, bro.
well, thank you. You're the first person. I will sit there and I will literally, and no other agent usually does it. I will try to disqualify you and your property. I will sit there and I will literally tell you, David, I'm so glad that we have an opportunity to talk, and sit down, with you and your wife and your family, and thank you for your time. And the reason for I wanted to sit here is I wanted to meet you face to face, take a look at your home, and I wanted to make sure that you're going to be the right client for me and that I'm the right agent for you. Is that okay with you? Because when's the last time we've ever seen a real estate agent try to tell a listing to basically, hey, look, I don't think I don't want to work with you. Pretty much never, unless the guy is a complete wackadoodle, right? But what it does is it's the takeaway method. And a lot of the times when people, this usually happens to women, because guys, we're always chasing beautiful women, right? Because we're guys. And we approach a woman, we want to talk, and she immediately tries to disqualify us. Like, all right, this guy's to this, to that, whatever, yada yada, and we got to work hard to get into her favor, to ask for that opportunity for that first date, and then she will gracefully allow us into her life. And so the thing is that if you do the pullback method with sellers, they immediately, to human nature, they immediately want what they can't have. And so, whoa, what do you mean you're not the right agent for me? I think you're the right agent for me. What do you mean you don't want my listing? You want my listing. You take this listing.
You've turned the tables.
I've turned the tables 100%. And I was very nervous the first time I did it because, it's a theory. I didn't know if it was going to work.
Yeah.
But you know what? I got the listing. We've remained friends. We got them successfully through a transaction. And they referred me a bunch of clients. And I actually even had a client of mine. I remember when she and I fired each other as agent and as client. And I said, well, you're hashtag worst client ever. And she's like, fine. You know what? That woman and I are still close buddies.
Yeah,
and
that's funny.
She has referred me, I'm not kidding, like 15 to 20 clients.
Wow.
And she's even talked about joining my real estate team because I was honest, I was real, and I wasn't going to do something that was not going to be in her best interest. She wanted to buy this house. And I'm like, this is a horrible property for you. This is like literally a horrible property. It's not a good deal.
So there was a mix of integrity and authenticity that you brought to the table right there. And again, that helps build trust. So, are you getting most biz in real estate from folks that you know or folks that you don't know?
Well, that's an easy question, hard answer. Okay. What we get a lot of business from our past clients in our database because we do a ton of video work and we stay in front of them. I had a client of mine from 10, 12 years ago call me up and go, Greg, I've been watching all your videos. I've been meaning to reach out to you. I need to buy $1 million home. I'm like, okay, cool. Good to see you, Vicky. But then we're doing some cool stuff, and I want to get into this really brand new tech that we have launched a massive campaign on, and I want to explain how powerful this is.
Yeah, cool.
But I get a lot of business from my calls, from my cold text messaging program, and then something that I'm sure you've heard of it, that maybe the audience might not be so clear on it. It's called geofencing. Are you familiar with geofencing?
Absolutely, man. And so now is the geofence, are you using that as part of your cold calling strategy that you're going after there?
It is. So
because I wanted to ask you more about this because I know,
sure.
Dude, like 80,000, you corrected me and I'm way low. You said like over 450,000 cold calls.
Yeah.
That is massive. How many hours a day are you spending on cold calling?
When I was doing it hardcore, I was doing anywhere from 500 to 750 phone calls a day.
Using a dialer?
Using a dialer, triple line dialer. And the most I ever did was 1,131 phone calls in one day. I went home and drank a beer and stared at a wall. My brain was mush.
For sure. And are you still doing these calls on a regular?
I am doing the calls on a regular. I've stepped back a little bit with COVID because every time I'm doing a call to someone, they want to sell their house, but I can't come out and see it. So I'm like, okay, I got to work smarter, not harder at this point. And so we started I'm working with a company, and they actually asked me to keep their name a little bit more private. But I'll tell you a little bit later, but he's built this from the ground up. He's an ex-military intelligence officer. So his job is to watch. And so he just started to watch everything that everybody was doing in the real estate industry, right?
Yeah.
He's like, he would take a little tidbit here, a little tidbit there, a little tidbit here. And then he put together this system. And it is the most inclusive system I have ever seen in my entire life. And I have helped him work on it and build it for the last 6 months. And we launched 3 campaigns, all cold text messages out to for sale by owners, for rent by owners, and expireds, right? And the first one we
text messages,
and
this is the high touch, high tech thing we were talking.
Exactly.
Okay. Yep.
And so what we do is we follow the DNC rules, so we're all compliant. We're not breaking any rules. We're not violating anything on that end. We're very clear on that.
Mm-hmm.
We sent out. It was 119 people we launched out to. 90 of them responded, and 43 of them hit me back within 24 hours. More like 2 hours. Like I immediately start getting messages like this, right? And I'm like, holy mackerel! Like, I mean, this is insanityville. I have 6 deals that are in the pipeline, 1 taken listing off of 3 pushes of a button, and then responding back to them. And then that's the high tech. Then the high touch is, how can I help you? How can I serve you? When can I come out and see your property? What value can I bring to your life? Why are you doing this? Yada, yada. And people responded in droves. So,
okay. So there's a question, and sorry to keep going. I apologize to cut you off
there,
but because I want to ask that in terms of like just tactical, right? So that everybody that's listening, even if they haven't got access to necessarily that particular tool, there is an ability to be able to take what they learn and somehow apply if they so choose. So, part of this becomes, what is the goal going into the call? Right? Because, and I'll preface that by saying, if somebody's going to door knock my home,
mm-hmm.
and their goal is to put a sign on the lawn, and I will ask them at the door, like, what is your name? Why are you here? And when they start talking, I will finally go, why are you here? And they'll go, you just asked me that. And once they get to that point where they don't know anymore what to say to me, I'm going to say to them, are you trying to put a sign on my lawn today? And most people look at you and they're kind of like, they don't really know what to say to you. You're like, I know you want to, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, we both know it's not happening. So why are you here? So I ask you that question of, again, being very realistic as to what we are going to achieve on that first initial touch point. What is our goal?
First initial touch point is to identify any intent. What are you planning on doing? Do you intend on to sell your property? Yes, no. Either way, 100% fine. Have a blessed, incredible day. You know what? If you do intend to do something, fantastic. What's your timeline? Are you being represented? Can I show you what my team and I can do?
So you're going straight for it, though. You are asking the question around real estate rather than like, hey, I'm in the neighborhood. This is what I do. I just wanted to let you know I'm here and I invite you to call me, whatever. You're like, hey, are you looking to buy, sell, or do you know anybody?
Well, do you like your time wasted? No.
Yeah. Okay.
You can smell BS a mile away. So can everybody else.
I don't want to be. I'd love to say I don't want to be sold.
And you're not.
And if I don't know who the hell you are, I'm probably not going to sell with you or buy with you or do anything with you.
Yeah, and you know what? That's exactly why I've been doing this for 20 years, and I know and I'll tell you. You know what, David? I can see that you're a little unsure about me. Yeah. Why don't you do this?
Okay.
Google my name. I'll be the devastatingly handsome white guy with glasses. I get that response all the time, and people that they don't know what to do with it. It's a
but right away you just broke the ice, right?
Yeah. I'll be the handsome man. Yeah. I'll be the good-looking handsome guy with glasses. Go Google me and make a judgment on if you feel that my team and I could help you. And what I'll do, how would you like me to get back with you? And we'll just touch base and see if we should move forward after you do research and make sure I'm not a charlatan selling snake oil. Would that be okay? Cool. So I put it back into their court and I make them feel comfortable because I'm not selling them on me. I'm allowing them to explore on their own and make a judgment call. And if you don't like me, hey man, I'm not for everybody. That's cool. I'm loud and I'm all over the place. I cuss a lot. I wear shorts and t-shirts to listing appointments. By the way, I took a $5 million listing in jeans and a t-shirt and with a baseball hat on. So if anyone thinks you got to wear suits, you're completely out of your mind. But that's in my market though.
Well, and welcome to the COVID world too, I think, right?
Well, this is before COVID.
And trust me, I know. And we've been seeing the shift for a few years now. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going well beyond that. Somebody was saying, talking to the other day, older, was saying like, I'm wondering what's going to happen to all the fine, fine menswear stores, right? Because
You,
nobody's wearing ties anymore and things like that. But anyway, sorry.
no, well, not in my market. Maybe on the East Coast in New York City they are,
Yeah.
but I mean, we're a bunch of pot smoking hippies over here in California. A bunch of tree lovers, and so people are just like, hang loose, bro. Like, let's get to know each other. And I took a listing last year for $2 million, and I showed up. Now, granted, this is a past client, but I showed up to his house. I haven't seen him in 16 years. No joke, with a shirt that said, "What's up, chicken butt." I didn't even think about what I had on my shirt. I just put on one of my favorite shirts, and I went over and talked with him. It's 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. But you know what? I sat there with him, and this is the biggest thing. I sat there and I connected with him, and I said, "Willin, how are you, man? How's Mary? How are the boys doing? What's new in life?" And he's like, "Well, we chit chatted." Then I said, why you want to sell this home? Like, what's going on?" He's like, "Well, Greg, the kids are getting older, and I got a lot of expenses, and I just don't have the cash. I can't stay in the house." And I said, "Well, if I could help you stay in the home, would you want to stay in the home?" He said, "Well, yeah, I'd love to." I said, "I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to have my top 3 lenders. They're all going to give you a call. I'm going to let them all know that my goal and intention is to find a way to keep you in this house. Now, if that's not where you want to end up, then we will go to war, and we'll get this thing listed and get it on the market for you." And he's like, You'd really do that?" And I said, "Yeah, man. My job is to bring value to you, not for me to make a paycheck. Do I like money? Yes. Do I want to make a lot of it? Yes. But I'm not going to do it at the expense of you and your family, because moving sucks."
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
I just helped my girlfriend do it. And I can't tell you how much I hate moving. I literally despise moving. I think if instead of putting me in jail, just make me become a mover. And that would be my prison sentence for the rest of my life.
For me, it's like go to the mall, go shopping.
Oh, that's a number 2.
But so
No.
you go, okay, so we're gonna sit down, we're gonna make the calls. So do you do a whole bunch of time blocking to say this is when I'm lining up to make my calls, or is it just like, you're all of a sudden full of it and you're like, boom, let's do this right now?
Depends on the day. Majority of the
Okay.
time I have it's on 4:30s on Monday through Thursday, my time, Pacific time, and
4:30 you do it.
4:30 because
Why?
people are getting home from work and it's
Okay,
not
cool.
quite dinner time. So I'll do it from 4:30 to 5:30, maybe even push it to 6, but I won't push it past 6. So
Okay.
I do a thing called beers and calls, and I will sit down. This is obviously not a beer, but I'll
No,
sit
no.
down, I'll have a beer
Yep.
and do my calls, and people will watch me do it live on Facebook. And you know what?
Oh, so hold on. Sorry, dude. Bro, I love this stuff. So you're actually you go live
hmm,
and then you make your calls.
yeah,
And can the people, like, if I'm watching you on Facebook, can I hear what's going on the other end?
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. I have a mount. I don't know where it is, but basically I have another mount here. Basically, this is it. I take this and I attach my phone, and now it's on speaker, and it's right here facing the microphone like this,
Ah,
and I'm
cool.
talking to it, right?
Okay. Yeah, I love it.
And so and the reason why I did it is that a number of years ago, Matt, my co-host on Real Estate Uncensored, goes, "You
Yeah,
know what you
yeah.
should do, Greg? You should do live prospecting calls." I'm like, "Do you think anybody would even care?" He's like, "Oh yeah, you should do them." I'm like, "Okay." So I got on, and I started doing the calls. And here's the powerful thing: people talk about value, right? Now, doing live prospecting calls is not, I didn't think it would do anything, but people have called me from around the world actually saying, "Greg, because of your calls, you encouraged me to do my calls and pushed me out of my comfort zone, and I've gotten X, Y, and Z from it." And I'm
Wow.
going, huh, it's amazing how much value we can all bring to other human beings. And we never have to talk about real estate. We just do our thing and show courage, because right now in the world, I, being of value and of service, like it always has been, is more important than I believe it ever could be from ever any other point. Because if you're living your true self, and you're bringing value and you're helping other people live their true value in a positive way, people need encouragement right now. People
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
see that people are acting when people are afraid of different aspects of life. And so I just do it in my way. And some people don't like it and some people do. And again, I might be for you, I might not be. It's really
Yeah. No, and
dependent.
it's a great way to say it, to put it there, right? And I know for me too, because I certainly block off a whole bunch of time in my day, more or
Mhm,
less every day, to do a couple hours of phone calls. And a
mhm,
lot of the time that's to folks that I know. That's to my client base. That's to my circle of influence, and just, hey, what's up? And it's funny because there's a lot of times where people are like waiting for you to go, so you want to buy something?
Yeah,
And at the end of the day, you don't do that. And then they're kind of like, wait a second. So how are you? And now all of a sudden the tables turn. You got a good conversation going on.
exactly.
And there's a lot of value in that, right? So it's there's a point of the phone call where it takes a lot of nerve to muster up the nerve to pick up the phone and make the call. First few calls never really roll off your tongue the way you want them to. By the time you're a few deep, you start to really find your stride. Now all of a sudden it becomes fun. By the end of it, you've had some phenomenal conversations,
Yep.
and now it's, what's the process after that? See, for me, when it comes to follow-up, and I continue to teach my, my coaching group this, and everybody else that listens to me from any channel that I deliver on, but it's, predictable days with income producing activities. I know I spoke to you today. I know what we talked about. I'm going to schedule ahead to talk to you again. It could be in 6, 7, 8 months from now. I will make sure you're on my marketing channel so you get the passive stuff that'll deliver the business message. But now in 6, 7, 8 months from now, when I look back and I go, oh, it's time to call Greg. Greg who? Oh, Greg McDaniel. Oh, yeah, Greg. Hey, well, what did we talk about last time? Look at the notes. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Dude, how you doing, bro? Hey, remember last time we spoke about? And maybe we bring that up and maybe we don't bring that up. But now, again, what we're doing is I've got a follow-up process. So I'm curious, what are you doing off of that? Because, again, a ton of phone calls. Is it one-hit wonder, man? You don't want to buy, see you later? Or is it
No.
like, I've got this process around how I build mind shares so that people think about me after the fact and then they come back? So it's not a wasted effort.
I drop hammer on them. What I do is if I say, David, what's your best? I have your best email. You give me your email. Okay, cool. I say, I'm going to send you a video every other week, and it's going to have some interesting stuff in there. Tell me what your thoughts are. And then also, I'm going to follow up with you next amount of time. And then I take it and I put it directly into I work off my Google Calendar. That's how I operate the best.
Yep.
And so I'll just drop everything into my Google Calendar, because when I wake up in the morning, my first thing is like, okay, what am I doing today? Like what are my time blocks? Where's my free time? And I'm starting to book into my calendar for more free time on a daily basis. Because we can all run around and be so proud that we work so hard, but do you really want to work that hard, or do you want to work really smart?
Buddy, what does everybody hear me say? Work easier, spend less, and make more.
Exactly.
I don't want to work at all. And sometimes people look and they go, how could he say that? And first, again, I love what I do. This to me is almost not even considered work. This is fun. This is amazing. This is enjoyment. But straight up, I want to be cruising on the Harley. I want to be outside playing catch with the little man, going with my daughter to fricking build sandcastles or color paintings. I don't know. That's what I want to do.
And you know what? You can make yourself, like, for everyone who's listening to the podcast, not watching it, I have a hat that says Zillow Killer on it, who's a friend of mine, James. And then my shirt says, I've got curb appeal. Okay. And so like, I'm where's the note? It's down on the floor over here. I was literally wearing this outfit, but I had my shirt on that says, want to buy a house. Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm at Safeway, which is our supermarket here. And the checker looks at me and goes, I want to buy a house. And I'm like, oh, really? What do you want to buy? And we started a conversation. I'm like, great. Give me your name, email, phone number, where you want to buy. I'll have an agent reach out to you, get you in contact. And here's the point. If you're out making sandcastles, but you turn yourself into a human billboard and put funny slogans on, if that's your style, I mean, you have mindshare on gear you're rocking.
You see it all the time, bro.
People ask about stuff that's intriguing to them. So, I mean, I walk around and just go do you. Go take your dog for a walk. Go to the pool. I have custom-made towels that a guest on my podcast made for me that says Real Estate Uncensored. Really awesome, by the way. I was so blown away that she gave them to me. But I'm down at the pool. People always come up to me. They're like, what is Real Estate Uncensored? And boom, conversation starts. Yep. How are you? Where do you live in the complex? Yada, yada. How long have you lived? Do you own? Do you rent? Is that's a, are those your children? You start the conversation.
So take me in that conversation. Take me, bridge the gap now. What's your next touch point on that? And what's the follow-up? So we've got the cold call. What is the process? And you say you use your calendar and you schedule your touch points down the road. Am I correct in that?
Correct.
Now you meet somebody brand new, and this is not a cold call. This is in person. What's your first move? I mean, beyond the hey, how you doing, breaking the ice.
Right. So after, the conversation begins, my whole job, again, it goes back to bringing value and, building a connection. I need to find my value points. So I use the Ford method: family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. This is the simplest and the most powerful conversation starter you can ever run, because like we said in the beginning, everyone's the star of their own story.
Do it
Okay.
one more time. Ford, family, occupation,
Recreation
recreation, and
and
dreams.
dreams. No,
Got it.
you can do Ford or you can do frog. You change the D to a G, and you go from dreams to goals. And this works, by the way. If any of y'all are single out there and you're going on first dates, forward on people. It is hilariously easy to have a conversation. I don't care. You can make a doorknob talk to you. So you just have a conversation. Hey David, it's true. But I mean, you ask them about their family. Are those your kids? Oh, that's amazing. How old are your kiddos? Do they play sports? My niece and nephew live around the corner. What school do your kids go to? Oh, that's awesome. Do you have any family, brothers, sisters, or parents in the area? Oh, that's amazing. I grew up over here in Alamo. Bam. Occupation. Man, that's awesome. What do you do for a living, man?
What do you enjoy?
How
Where do you
long
want
have
to
you been
be?
doing it? Would you do it again?
Yeah.
Would you recommend it to other folks? Do you want your kids to get in the same profession? Then recreation. Man, you sound like you're a busy guy. And everything you got going on. What do you guys do for fun? Are you boaters? Are you guys like camping? Do you like go hiking? Are you guys chefs? What's your jam?
Yeah.
And then there's dreams. So tell me about it. Do you guys, just out of curiosity, just two people talking, do you plan on staying here in the complex, or do you guys want to buy a bigger house or move up to Tahoe, or where do you want to go? And then you use, because what you're doing is consistently asking questions about them and be curious. And that, by the way, that order does not have to be an order. It could be, oh, that's amazing. They come up, the real estate uncensored. What's that? I'm a realtor here in the area. What do you do for a living? Occupation.
Yeah. Right away, turn the table.
Go right into any variety pack you want. And this works really good for the mother-in-laws who you don't want to talk to. You can even, or the father-in-laws, or the cousins or whatever. You're just like, oh, this person at Thanksgiving, this guy's killing me. But I mean, you just go and you just sit down and say, hey, tell me about work. How's it going? You getting out and doing are you still doing the biking you love? Or you guys still have that boat? Oh, yeah. I wish we had a boat too. We should get together and do that. But it's just about asking, because guaranteed at some point in that conversation, they will flip the script and they will start being curious about you, because you brought value to them and they feel great about themselves.
That way, man. The more you're asking about them, at some point, as long as you show genuine intent, they are going to ask about you. It's human nature, right? So do you go for the whole thing of, once you've had that combo, it's like right away try to connect on social media and just kind of bring it online for a minute? This way you've got a further connection point. Or is it no to that, or yes and, do you put them in the database immediately? Like, what's the deal there?
Well, if I met them at the pool, I probably don't have a pen on me.
Yep.
So what I will do is I'll just keep building the relationship whenever I see them. At the right time, I'll find them on Facebook and I'll friend them or send them a message or something like that.
So it's about feeling it out. It's not like everybody, cookie cutter, we're going to do the exact same thing for everybody, but we're going to feel out the relationship and who these people are.
Right. And like I said in the beginning, I want to make sure that you're the right client for me, because there are some tool buckets I don't want to work with, hands down. Like, you are going to be a vampire. You're going to suck me dry, and I will be emotionally drained from my family, my loved ones, and I'm going to come home and be grumpy. And I don't need that. I don't want that. And everyone who's listening to this, be very clear on who you want to work with, and then don't deviate, because there will be people that will suck you and bleed you dry, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and everything else. And you're going to do it, but like, oh, but I just need a client. Okay, cool. Go find one that you want to work with and they want to work with you. It's going to be way more powerful.
You know what? So first, we've got some of our Mindshare Masters on right now watching our VIP room, and I know they're going to be chomping at the bit in a few minutes when we get off air to poke some, just give you some Q&A. And I know right now, because the market is pumping along, people are out and about. I am so jacked for them. But this came up 2 weeks ago on one of our live Mindshares, where we all get together and we just do some Mindsharing. And somebody had asked the question, and, is that whole thing of, she's slammed at home with her kids right now. Her husband works full time. She can't get out of the house. And every time she goes on a listing presentation, they're like, hey, will you do it for 1%? And she's like, I need the business, but I can't do it for 1%. And I don't know what to tell people, because if I turn them down and tell them no, I don't get the deal. And so we asked the question live to our group, and it was amazing to watch everybody in our group. We got a lot of really awesome people. And they turn around, they're like, nah, if it ain't your people, they're going to bleed you and suck you dry and all that other stuff. You got to prove your value. And you know what? If they ain't your people, kiss them goodbye.
Yep.
So it's much the same you're just saying right now, right?
Yeah. And you know what? So the people, when they ask for, hey, I want to do it, will you do it for 1%? Do you know the shortest full sentence in the human language?
No.
You just said it.
Yeah.
And so one of my good friends, Bernice Ross, she cracks me up. She's a phenomenal human being. Go find her on Inman. She said she just look at you real calm. She'll go to neutral voice and go, "No, are there any other questions?"
Yep.
And because people are looking for a deal, and it depends on the temperament of the environment. When people have asked me for discounts before, and it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. So
Yep.
be very cautious on what I'm going to say next. If someone says, "Well, I want you to do it for 1%," and I'll say, "Okay, I have no problem with doing it for 1%. But here's what I'm going to ask for in return. I'm going to ask for your next 4 months of paychecks. Is that fair?" Because the reason why I'm saying that is because that's how I feed myself, put clothes on my body, and I grow my business. So if and this is, again, I'm just being snarky at this point.
Yeah.
But if you're asking for me to give you my money, then I'm going to ask you to give me your money, and you don't want to do that, do you?
Right.
Well, no.
I like it.
Okay.
You gotta be a little bit blunt, but again, it's all within good flavor. So,
within good flavor.
We've got a few minutes. Sorry.
So here's my favorite commission combating script, and Bernice will argue with me on this one, but this is my personal favorite one. And I do this in multi-million-dollar properties all the time, and it sets a trigger in people's brain. So when they say, "Well, what's your commission?" and I'll say, "You know what? The really good news is my commission is only 2.5%. That's our normal here. It's 2.5%. I'll say my team and I only take 2.5%. We're going to have to come together as a team and figure out what we want to offer to the other agent. Would you like to do 1% for them, or would you like to maybe do the standard of 2.5%? How would you like to proceed?"
Right.
Because I lock them in at 2.5%.
And now we're just fearful on that front there that the other agent may turn around and go, "Well, at 1%, I'm not even bringing people."
Well, here's the thing. They don't have a choice. It's called a smartphone. All the properties come through the smartphones. And here in the States, dude, it doesn't matter what the commission is.
You don't want to bring somebody else will.
Yeah. It's like, "Hey, homie, that's cool." Or they'll just come to me and I'll make the full commission. It's up to you.
So I want to ask you this because we got a few minutes left on our live here. You're doing it. Okay. So when we talk about realtor marketing channels, we have really explored the cold call. We've explored talking to both the people we know and the people we don't know. We've really hammered in on the importance right here of the necessity to get in touch with people by phone, create that conversation, and do a ton of listening. And I think that is massively powerful. We've talked about adding value to people, and we've gone through different strategies on how to have these convos with people. I'm curious because you, like me, leverage a podcast to help build your brand. And so sort of in a nutshell here, it's, I guess the question becomes, and I mean, I kind of believe I know the answer to this, but I do want to put it out there because, again, you do sell real estate. And not every realtor out there has ventured into creating a podcast or blogging or vlogging. And we've talked about the importance of that over the years. Why do you podcast? What is your goal? And I guess in the same question there, do you believe, like, should every realtor be thinking podcast, or is this just another way that you like to deliver content? And as long as people can figure out how to deliver value in content, it doesn't matter if they podcast, just get out there and think about doing it.
Yeah. The reason why we started the show is because the reason it's called Real Estate Uncensored is because I got really fed up of these different coaching organizations, the big guys out there that charge minimum $650, and you get 2 30-minute phone calls a month, and you get, you can have this library and everything else. And I said, well, that's a bunch of BS, man. I'm gonna be uncensored, and I'm going to unleash holy hell on the organization, the industry, and give them all the knowledge they could possibly ever want to get from behind the paywall. Because and this is the reason why I've been blessed and honored to have a father that's been in the industry for 48 years. I literally have grown up here in real estate my entire life. And so I said, I'm just going to give. I'm going to give back till my heart hurts, and my heart never stops being full of giving joy to other folks and having some laughs. Like you and I have laughed our rear ends off.
I know, man, for real, right? It's so true.
I would suggest there's an app called Anchor that you can download for free, and you can do podcasting, literally create a podcast, just talking into your phone at a very low cost to no cost.
Cool.
I would find your vehicle of communication. So like I said, Bernice, she's a writer. And so she and I always battle.
Okay.
I leave her voicemails. She writes me long, like books. And I'm dyslexic. I'm like, oh, come on, man. Like, just talk into it. And she's like, Greg, I have a 70% hearing loss. I can't do that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I would find your medium and then go after it. But in today's day and age, having your face on a park bench might have been good in the 80s, right?
Okay.
Or
Cool.
having billboards around town is still a good way to be visible. But there is if you bring value and content to people that they're looking for, you now become an asset in their life, not just a guy or gal that they put their butt on the park bench.
So then, do you believe in all this hype about online leads, or is this more about you better roll up your sleeves and get dirty with people and have a combo?
So what was that stat? There was like, I don't know the exact numbers, so forgive me, but from the listings that were in the US in 2019, there was some ungodly number of real estate leads of like 600 or 800 million leads. I mean, ridiculous amount of leads, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But online leads, let's be very clear, that is not a lead. That is a respondent. A lead is when you gain permission to continue the conversation. That's a lead. The one from online, that's a respondent. Be clear on that.
So am I going to get more value out of putting my money into trying to generate that, or should I just put in the time and start connecting with people, making the phone calls?
Go connect with people. Go be a human being. Go out there,
Thank you.
have lunch, have a drink, get breakfast
Thank
together.
you. Mic drop right there.
Mic
Dude.
drop.
We're going to do this again because with you and I, somehow 60 minutes flies like about 60 seconds.
It does.
But I need to know just for everybody here, and we will just as we hang up, we'll get off air off Facebook, and we'll open up and bring on our Mindshare Masters
Cool.
to ask you a couple questions. But any last words that you can share to people, or anything that you want to leave as a parting thought here for the podcast?
The world's in a unique place right now. On multiple different levels, and people are craving genuine interactions. They're craving, real conversations. Like you said, the gal who's cooped up with her kiddos, right, and her husband is a full-time working. People want to have a real conversation that they're not being sold. I had a gentleman when COVID just started. He's an agent in Denver, and he reached out to me, and he just said, "Hey, man, I'm just thinking about you. How are you?" And that meant more to me than anything else, because he didn't ask, want, insinuate, or hint at anything except for, "Hey, bro, like, you were on my mind. Like, how's life?" My dad used to do this crazy thing, and I still laugh about this because I get my yellow pad thing from him. I carry yellow pads everywhere. Matt laughs at me all the time. He calls them my Hobbit pads because I have them stacked up everywhere.
Yeah.
But my dad would drive around, and he would constantly be putting, his method was write everyone's name and number on his yellow pad. That's just how he operates. They get flipped through it, and he's just old.
Yep.
48 years in the business. And here's the thing. If you're going to be doing calls, here's your script. And he usually did this sitting in the office. "Hey, David, it's Terry." "Well, hi, Terry. How are you?" "I'm doing great. I was driving past your house earlier today," which he didn't. "And you know what? You popped in my brain. I just want to give you a call and say, how are you? How's life?" And it's that the power is, I was driving past your home the other day, and you popped in my brain. I wanted to give you a call. Now I gave you a reason why you're calling, a genuine offer of just how's life. And then you sit down as two humans and you just chop it up, have a few giggles, and you get off the phone and say, "David, before I get you off the phone, man, I know you got a lot going on in life. You're still doing, the Mindshare business, right? Okay, cool. I'm talking to a lot of people these days when I'm doing the work in the real estate. Who would be perfect that I could maybe connect you with?"
Cool. Love
And
it. So
then
now you're trying to help me get more connections.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Amazing.
And here's the last script, and then I'll get out of your head.
Oh, no, it's good. Keep it. Yeah.
So here's one of my all-time. So I got this from Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek?
Yeah, of course, man.
So he told a story, and he was in New York City with a buddy of his. They were walking down the street, and they see this panhandler, this gal. And she had the typical sign, "Please help. I'm not going to lie. I need a beer, blah, blah, blah." And he turned around, he went over to her and he said, "You know what? How much money do you make in a day doing this, if I may ask?" She said, $100. He's like, "Okay, you can survive on $100. She's like, "I can survive on $100. He's like, "Would it be okay if I changed your sign to see if I can make you more money?" She kind of looked at him like he was crazy, right?
Yeah.
And he got the cardboard and the marker and wrote this: "I know you don't give every day, but next time you do, please remember me." And so I changed that to, "I know you don't buy and sell every day, but next time you do, please remember me."
Cool.
It is insane how people go, "Of course I will. Thank you for the call."
Yeah. And now you just got to consistently build some mind share with them.
Yep. That's all you got to do.
Buddy, where can people find you?
Guys, best place, go follow me on Facebook, or go follow me on Instagram. I'm very easy. Look for this handsome face with a big old microphone I usually have stuck up in there. And if you want to watch the Beers and Calls, send me a message on DM. I'd be happy to assist in any way, shape, or form. I'm here to give, as I've said multiple times. If you guys are looking to have client referrals or anything here in the San Francisco Bay Area, I'd be happy to assist you with that. But no, priority would be to just help and answer. If you're a part of David's crew and family, then you're part of mine, and I will give as much as I possibly can. And I appreciate you, David, for having me on. And we absolutely will do it again, because you're right, an hour is just not enough time.
It's not enough. And I know we're already booked for a few weeks from now back on your show again. So I'm looking forward to that, man. Greg, thank you, man. Really, really, really appreciate all your time today. The insights, awesome conversation as always.
Thank you, my friend. You are an incredible human being, and keep rocking it with Mindshare, bringing that value. And we will kick butt again on the next time we get together.
You bet, bro. I'm grateful. You're either listening to this on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or Spotify. Or maybe you downloaded our free Industry Syndicate podcast app. Or maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. And while you're on my site, make sure to download your free copy of the 7 Ways to Communicate ebook to help you build more mindshare so you can get more market share. And I want to invite you to join our private mindshare community. We meet twice a month live to share ideas, tips, tricks, and do some mind sharing. And all of our Mindshare Masters get access to our private VIP Q&A with our special podcast guest each week. And you get daily marketing and sales tips delivered right to you, plus the opportunity to motivate, learn, and network with a whole bunch of people just like you, going through the same struggles in business as you, looking to achieve like you. When you're on the site, just click on the coaching option, then group coaching, and for only $19 a month, literally like 62 cents a day, you will have access to a powerful coaching resource every single day. Seriously, just saying 62 cents sounds crazy to me too. Make sure to check it out. Wherever you like to consume your content, please rate, review, and subscribe. And if you haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook at Mindshare101 and on Instagram at DavidGreenspan101. This has been another episode of the Mindshare Podcast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.